Tune in Saturdays at 1 p.m. for the Your Body is Your Pharmacy radio show. Hear from the doctors that were among the first in the U.S. to merge the ancient wisdom of Ayurveda and natural medicines with the advances of modern medical science. Listen to pioneer doctors Virender Sodhi, Shailender, and Anju Sodhi to keep up with some of the latest medical advances and learn from some of the true leaders of Ayurvedic medicines every Saturday from 1 to 2 p.m. with the Your Body is Your Pharmacy radio show on Desi 1250 a.m. Radio that listens to you. If you're suffering with diabetes, heart disease, hormonal issues, digestive issues, and other chronic health issues, we offer comprehensive Ayurvedic and naturopathic treatments to reverse your diseases. Call us at 425-453-8022 for more information. Panchkarma detox treatments are a great way to utilize natural healing mechanisms of the body. Our clinic in Bellevue, Washington offers over 36 years experience in Ayurvedic treatment. Call us for more information about our Panchkarma treatments at 425-453-8022. That's 425-453-8022. Are you looking for quality Ayurvedic and naturopathic treatments for your chronic issues? We offer a holistic, wholesome approach to living with chronic diseases. Call us at 425-453-8022 for more information. If you or someone you know is diagnosed with cancer and is interested in adjunctive holistic approach, please come and meet our doctors at Ayurvedic and Naturopathic Medical Clinic or call us at 425-453-8022. That's 425-453-8022.
Hi folks, this is Dr. Virender Sodhi, and with your favorite show, Your Body is a Natural Pharmacy, where I teach you that you can heal your body if you follow the simple laws of Mother Nature. The first part of it is your mind. Your mind has to be very active and healthy and not scattered. You need to make your decisions right. Nutrition is very important. Breathing is very important. Exercise and the proper amount of sleep. And enjoying every bit of it, every moment, is the key way you can stay healthy. And today we have very interesting topics which I brought for you guys. And one is a very hot topic right now, is about solar eclipse. And as you know, this is all over the news, and we are hearing it. Basically, we will talk about that solar eclipse, and then we will also talk about the rice and arsenic in the rice, and then we will also talk about some heavy metals, and this is toxicity, and also the heavy metals in Ayurvedic medicine, which is again a hot topic, and we get calls from all over that if the Ayurvedic medicine is safe. So we'll try to remove some of the doubts people has it, and what I have done, what we have done in our clinic, in our company to help that process there. And we'll also teach you what tools you have because heavy metal toxicity is very impossible to be free of it because there is some stuff in our environment because thanks to our technology and the advanced farming and chemicals and industries and all that has polluted our environment. So we are exposed to it, believe it or not, every second. And what you guys can do to cut down the exposure. So let's start with the solar eclipse, and I think you might have heard it so many times in the news already that the solar eclipse is coming across America, and this is going to happen after 99 years. So almost, I think, 1 century later, we are fortunate to see this solar eclipse, which is going to be a complete almost solar eclipse. And so there is a lot of public service announcements by international standard organizations and the National Aeronautic and Space Administration, which has released so many consumer safety things for them. And especially if you have not bought the viewing glasses yet, they are urging that you buy only ISO 12312-2 approved manufacturer devices. So this again is ISO 12312-2 approved manufacturer device, which is approved by that's ISO standards. So there is a huge concern and people that what is going to do. One thing which I want to let you know that, okay, guys, take a deep breath. It's happening after 100 years, but it's not the first solar eclipse, which has happened. And a lot of times when I look at the Mother Nature, like all those animals and the birds and everybody is exposed to sunlight, are they going to get blind? I don't think so. Yes, there are some people who are going to be very heroic or stupid, in my personal terminology, who are going to gaze at the sun with the direct without using any protective glasses, may get a solar retinopathy. So what that means is that you can burn your retina. Retina is a very light-sensitive place. And so when the sun is going through the solar eclipse, the UV light, the blue wavelength, which can enter the eye and will be absorbed in the retina and create free radicals. So it's like, think like that welding torch, and when the welding torch, you push it and there's a spark there, and that spark causes that thing to melt in there. So that retina can get burned. And so there can be, some concern, but if it's going to be happening to lots of folks out there, I don't think so. Maybe few. You may see few people who has done some heroic kind of stuff, and but I don't want you to be one of them. So don't look at the sun without wearing protective glasses. If you don't get a hold on the protective glasses, you can make your own view box, which is, there's on internet, go on internet, there is a lot of methods they have made it. It's like a pinhole, and then there is a aluminum foil, you use it, and it's like any box, in a shoe box or any cereal box you can use, and you see through that one, and that will help you to cut down your exposure to the direct UV light. So what will happen is if you get exposed to it, the retina will absorb that heat from the UV light, and then that will cause a photooxidation in that area, and that can get inflamed, and people can have a visual complaints like blurred vision, or they can see things black and white in the center, they can be nice color, and then there is a pictures will changing in the center. So there is a possibility. Usually visual acuity is not changed. You still have the same. So there is a small amount of hole in your retina there. It's not a hole, but it's like a burn in your retina, which actually caused the problem. And then, it heals over and leaves a kind of red spot in the later on. So best method is not to look directly at the sun, because then you certainly are going to create this problem. And to protect yourself, I will give you some tools. So one thing is use protective glasses. But again, I think you don't have to be overly worried about it, because don't try to look at it, but you can still do your work in the normal day there. Because my philosophy is, if the animals and birds are not affected as much, we will be not too much worried about that either. Of course, there will be few cases which will be there. But what you can do, one thing is you can also eat a lot of colored fruits and vegetables, and especially your blueberries and your blackberries and your cherries and your mangoes and carrots and beets, those kind of which has a dark pigments in them. And these dark pigments contain special kind of bioflavonoids, which we call them proanthocyanidins and anthocyanidins. So these dark bioflavonoids, and there are different bioflavonoids in mangoes and carrots and beets, they help to prevent the photooxidation or free radical damage. And so that's a simple way. So in these 2 days, today and tomorrow and maybe Monday, just have 2 cups of these berries. And fortunately, the blackberries are out there. Just go out in the bush and eat those wonderfully very juicy and plumbed blackberries. Yesterday I picked them almost a bucket of it, and they were so yummy, so good. And so just Mother Nature is always very intelligent. It actually, you'll be surprised at how Mother Nature is always want to help you, and the solutions are right there in front of us. So if you do that, I think you wear your protective glasses, or you look through the view box and eat those blueberries, blackberries, cherries, mangoes, carrots, and beets, those kind of colored fruits and vegetables. Even your those peppers, yellow and red peppers, they all have protective bioflavonoids. And if you do that, your exposure to sunlight retinopathy will reduce drastically. So that's how you're going to take care of your solar eclipse. So let's move on to the next topic, which is, we wrote an article on it, and a lot of people just loved it. There has been greater concern about arsenic in the rice. As you know, most of us, we consume rice regularly in our diet, and rice has become the major staple food around the world. And as people are going towards more vegetarianism and becoming more vegan, also gluten-free and lactose-free diet, they are consuming more rice. But unfortunately, the news which is has been out there, and the research which is out there is showing us that the arsenic is loaded with the rice is loaded with arsenic. And so I've been in cultivation of herbs for many years, and when we found out that certain herbs can absorb more heavy metals than others. So as you may know or may not know, that we have farms back in India where we grow Ayurvedic herbs. And so when we are growing certain herbs will absorb certain kind of heavy metals, like a lead will be heavier in one kind of herb. But in the other herb grown the same land, there will be not that heavy metal present. So this is interesting. Certain plants like to absorb more of those heavy metals, and rice is one of them. Rice can absorb more arsenic, and it can actually suck it in and then can accumulate the arsenic. And arsenic is naturally present in water and soil, but we are also to blame. It was heavily used as pesticide in the early 80s, and it is potentially very dangerous to human health and the ecosystem. And it is the worst of all, it is a cancer causing. And there is an increased risk of developing bladder cancer, prostate cancer, skin cancer, lung cancer when you consume contaminated rice with arsenic. And the arsenic present in current rice available in America, if you're taking 5 servings per week, which is like you eat rice once a day, you are exposing yourself 100 times more to cancer-causing arsenic. Isn't that strange? Isn't that bizarre? That just we then never thought that just eating rice will create that kind of problem for us. And so yes, folks, the rice has arsenic, especially the rice available in America. And I'm going to talk to you about a different kind of rice available in this country, which can be safer, and how you can cut down the side effects of having extra arsenic, because I think it's practically impossible to get rid of all the arsenic from your food, but you can certainly cut down the exposure to it. So the arsenic is two kinds. One is called organic, which is a carbon-based, and inorganic. Here we are talking about inorganic arsenic, which is more dangerous for the health. And the rice contains inorganic rice. So the FDA did a assessment on the arsenic in the rice. And by the way, there is no safe limit proposed by FDA for the arsenic in any food. And so white rice had 92 parts per billion of the arsenic, whereas the brown rice, which we all think very healthy, has 154 parts per billion of arsenic. So almost double the amount, not double, maybe 75 to 80% more in brown rice. So and I've been advising brown rice to my patient and thinking is more healthy. Yes, it is more healthy because it has all the nutrient, but considering arsenic, I may have to modify my recommendations on it. And even the infant's white cereal has 104 parts per billion, which is very toxic to, as a bigger human being, we have a more efficient system to detoxify. The young kid does not have as a efficient system to detoxify. So you can see that we are exposing knowingly or unknowingly our kids to this toxic chemical. And the brown rice cereal was 119 parts per billion. So there is a huge amount of arsenic present in the rice and its rice kind of products like cereals. The long grain rice, which is in the American long grain rice, has the highest amount of arsenic level. And you'll be surprised. When I heard about this news, I said, oh my God, now the rice coming from India, we all love the basmati rice and stuff, will have a lot of arsenic. But I was surprised that the rice from India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh has way less arsenic than American rice. So this is a kind of little breather here, and that, we can still consume our favorite rice and maybe not expose ourselves to as much to arsenic. Yes, they have arsenic, but the arsenic content was almost 50% than even the Americans' rice available. And so, when this news came out, the USA Rice Federation declared, oh my God, this is a nonsense, and we don't want to discuss it because this is inaccurate and to the highest degree and is maliciously untrue. That's not right, because the FDA checked it out, the Consumer Report checked it out, and there has been a lot more arsenic in the rice than we should be able to consume it. So many companies have been tested out. I think there was around 2,500 different varieties of the rice which was checked out, and all of them, especially the American rice, has the heaviest amount of arsenic present in the rice. So let's come back after a little short break here, and we'll continue our discussion on arsenic in the rice, and then we'll talk about what you can do to cut down the exposure to this arsenic in your food, and what are the options available. I believe we cannot just stop eating rice. Yes, we can cut it, but there are certain options which we have there to cut down the exposure to arsenic. So let's come back after the short break, and then we'll continue our discussion with the arsenic in rice.
If you or someone you know is diagnosed with cancer and is interested in adjunctive holistic approach, please come and meet our doctors at Ayurvedic and Naturopathic Medical Clinic, or call us at 425-453-8022. That's 425-453-8022. If you're suffering with diabetes, heart disease, hormonal issues, digestive issues, and other chronic health issues, we offer comprehensive Ayurvedic and naturopathic treatments to reverse your diseases. Call us at 425-453-8022 for more information.
So we're continuing our discussion, the arsenic in the rice, and so there are companies which in America who has taken this seriously, and one of that company is Lundberg, which is one of the, I think, biggest producer of rice. And so the Lundberg, start testing the samples of the rice and for arsenic, and and this is not, surprising that their rice also had a higher amount of arsenic. So they have on their website, they have declared how much amount of arsenic is there. So the average brown rice from Ludberg has 154 parts per billion of the arsenic. Which is, again, still high, but at least they are doing something. They are trying to check it out. And, you'll be surprised that even the whole food rice was worse. And, as we know, the whole food we consider as a brand which is considered like a organic and non-toxic and type of stuff. And another one was Uncle Ben's whole grain rice. And then, of course, Great Value and Walmart, which we don't consider of a good quality, they were also high up there too. So you can see, this is all available in Consumer Report. If you Google it, you'll be able to find out. And so there was I think I was at 2,500. There was 5,800 samples of rice was collected from 25 countries, and as I said earlier, that the rice from Asia has almost 50% less arsenic in rice than the American. And the worst was from the states where they have least regulations on the environmental pollutions, like Louisiana and Texas and Arkansas. And the California did better because the California rice had 38% less arsenic in them. So, you just look at the source where you're getting if it's coming from Texas or Louisiana or Arkansas, just believe this is going to have a more high arsenic. When it is coming from California or India and Pakistan or Bangladesh, there is a less arsenic in that. And unfortunately, the brown rice has almost 80% more arsenic than the white rice. So I'm even thinking of changing my recommendations of eating brown rice. Yes, brown rice is still good for you, but we may have to do something to add on to cut down the exposure to the arsenic. And the organic rice was not different than the non-organic one. They will still have the high amount of arsenic. And what has happened is because since there was the regulations of pesticides were different, the trillions of these arsenic-loaded pesticides has been dumped into the earth. And that kind of contaminated our land. And when we are harvesting the products from that land, we are basically getting more exposed to these heavy metals and especially the arsenic. So what you can do, there are other grains available which are very less or very little arsenic in them or none. Like one of them, my favorite is amaranth. Why amaranth is my favorite? Because amaranth is one of the richest source of protein in your carbohydrates, in the grains. So amaranth you can cook in many different ways. I love to cook amaranth like a oatmeal, and I add a little bit of nuts and seeds and in coconut milk. It's yummy. I don't use any sugar in it. I just put some dried figs cut into small pieces or raisins into it, or apricots, which is an organic dried apricot, 2-3 in the whole bowl, and it is yummy. And if you need a recipe, call our office. We will be very happy to share our recipe with you of the amaranth. It's very, very nice and beautiful grain, and it is amaranth is actually come from the word amar, means longevity. And so people who ate that, they lived longer. And in a lot of Indian fastings, whenever there's special spiritual fasting, amaranth is used as a staple in those fastings. The another grain which is really good is buckwheat. And buckwheat is, again, a lot of Russian folks use a lot of buckwheat. And also the Indians use, again, in fasting. So buckwheat is another grain which is very good. And I have designed my own buckwheat recipe. So what I do, I boil the buckwheat and use the egg like a stir-fried or scrambled egg, and mix with it the vegetables and stuff, and it's yummy. So it becomes like a very nice scrambled egg with buckwheat, boiled buckwheat. Millet is another grain which is less low in arsenic, and you can use like rice. You boil the millet, and anything which you put in the rice for like your chicken, fish, or your beans, you can use it. Another grain which you can use a polenta or grits, which also have a very low levels of arsenic. So this way you can cut down your exposure. bulgur, barley, farro, they have gluten, but they also has a less arsenic. And my favorite is also quinoa, and I love quinoa. My wife makes a wonderful quinoa khichdi. When we did this yoga celebration in June, she made quinoa khichdi, which is a quinoa and bean recipe. It was the hit. Hundreds of people just loved it and asked for the recipe. It's a very wonderful grain for us and has a less amount of arsenic in it. So I'm not saying that stop eating rice. Yes, you can eat rice, but also plug it in different kind of grains. I think what has happened to our culture, as I grew up in the mountains of Himalayas as a young kid, we didn't eat same kind of grains every day. There was rice and there was no rice. Then there was a barley, then there was no barley. There was a corn and there was no corn. And there was a wheat and there was a millet. So we were using different seasons, we were using different grains. And comes this 21st century, we have availability of same thing. So we go on eating same thing. Again, as my program, Your Body is a Natural Pharmacy, your body pharmacy responds to the environment, and the environment does not grow rice all year round. It does not grow corn all year round. It does not grow wheat all year round. So if you follow the simple Mother Nature's the calendar, you'll be able to cut off all those lot of issues with this kind of thing. So what you can do is you can cut down the arsenic level in your rice if you love. It's like me. I grew up in the mountains, and our staple food was rice. So one method, what you can do is soak your rice. Then that cut down around 30% of your arsenic from there by just soaking and draining the water. Then what we used to do back home too, and this was actually a common practice, they added around 6 cups of water to 1 cup of rice. So the water was excessively added onto it. And when the rices are just ready to be cooked, not fully cooked, they drain out the excessive water, and that gets a lot of arsenic out of it. So you are now cutting down the arsenic consumption 60% by that one. So, that's maybe the practice. Now, again, maybe that there was a wisdom why the way this rice was cooked back home. And this practice was practiced in the mountains of Himalayas almost all over. And this is the way they used to cook the rice. So I think there is some wisdom in it, and we maybe start using that wisdom back again, and we'll be getting less exposure to it. And again, believe me now, the organic rice is much better because it has more arsenic, but it maybe has less other toxic chemicals. So yes, there's a trade-off. So, but what overall, I think we may have to cut down until we find a rice which is a better option than having the rice which is available. So at this time, I think Ludwig farm for America is a better choice. The rice from India and Pakistan and Bangladesh are better choices for us to consume. So this is all about the arsenic. And if you have any questions, you guys can call me at 844-301-1250. If you have any questions regarding this topic, which is arsenic in the rice or other which you have from my previous shows, I'll be very happy to respond. Again, the number is 1-844-301-1250. So the next topic which I like to discuss is heavy metals in our environment. So what are heavy metals? The heavy metals are what they call toxic heavy metals because they have a potential towards toxicity. And especially like a cadmium, mercury, lead, arsenic. These are considered the 4 bunch of heavy metals according to WHO standards. And the other heavy metals which are also of concern, but in small quantity they are not of a big concern. And some of them will be like a zinc or copper, which is, we use as a mineral, or chromium, manganese. These are all used as the nutrients in our food, are in the multivitamins too. But in excessive amount, manganese, chromium, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc, selenium, silver, antimony, and thallium, they can also become like a heavy metal and cause a potential toxicity. So where this heavy metal is coming in the Mother Nature? So basically, we have polluted our environment. There is a lot more chemicals which we have put in. Arsenic is one of them. Mercury is one of them. Lead is one of them. Like all the gasoline which we use. Now we are using unleaded, but it's not unleaded. It has a less lead, by the way. And previously, I think this is just in front of our eyes 10 years ago or 12 years ago, we were still using leaded gasoline, and that has a lot more. So the car exhaust was throwing lead on the everywhere, spraying, and all the farming equipment, which is on diesel, has a lead in that too. So we were, spraying this lead and mercury and arsenic on our food knowingly or unknowingly. So these all heavy metal has a bigger issue. So looks like there's a caller on the line, and caller, go ahead. This is Dr. Sodhi.
Dr. Sodhi, this is Malik. I just had a quick question.
Sure.
So, I've seen some videos about that, they make rice with plastic, and so, that's pretty dangerous. So I don't know how we can figure out about that.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I've seen those videos too, and especially coming as I think the sources from China or maybe India, I don't know, or some other countries. Yes, I don't know how to, I don't have a right answer for you, but some people, they have shown on the videos there, when they burn that rice, it burns like a plastic. And the normal rice will not burn like a plastic. So I think that's the way you can distinguish it. And buy from a reputed source, don't go for any rice which I think a lot of Indian brands are good. There is also like a Ludberg is a good. So those brands you're certainly cutting down the risk of getting plastic rice. I hope this satisfies your...
Because that is like a synthetic product, so if it goes in your body, that's going to be very harmful. So that's why I was wondering if you had some research on that.
Yeah, that's actually a good one. I don't have any research on that. I have seen those videos, but this is a good one. That's how I learn every day. The people like you and my patients, who teach me every day, because I don't know everything in the word. But when somebody asks me a question, then I start doing research. I will certainly look into it, and I will maybe we'll write a newsletter on it, and then you can read more it. And if you have more questions, you can go to our website, AyurvedicScience.com. We have lots of newsletters on that one, and we will post that on our website too. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So, again, this was a caller who had a question regarding the plastic rice, and I've seen those videos. I don't know how truthful those are, but a lot of people have brought out that, plastic and rice, and which is, I don't know what kind of mentality people can have who are selling that kind of rice. And this really sickening to me that people out there, just for making money, can do that kind of inferior work. So, really, I'm just really angry at even thinking about it. So the toxic metals has been, discussed in the history for centuries and centuries. One of which I can think of in Indian literature, there were girls which were called Vishkanyas, or poison girls, and they were actually they were made by the people knowingly as spies, and they were fed low amount of arsenic from childhood, and then they were used to kill or spy a potential enemy. And it is said that by just kissing that girl or having a sexual contact will kill that person, because the arsenic releases in the skin, and when you're touching or kissing, you can absorb heavy amounts of arsenic, and since they are used to it, and your body is not, and that can kill you. So this is in a little historical the way the heavy metals has been used. And then there is, there was I think you might have heard about the poisoning, the mercury poisoning in Japan, and that disease was called Minamata disease. And it happened because this Minamata city were using the seafood which was contaminated with the methyl form of mercury. And that methyl mercury is very, very toxic, and it was an industrial waste by the Chisco Corporation, a chemical factory, which was releasing into the water, and that water was utilized, by the fish and the shellfish and the Minamata Bay, and these guys who got eating that sea fish, they got poisoning with it, and they had a lot of neurological damage. One of the things which these heavy metal does, almost all of them, they causes neurological damages. I see a lot of kids with ADHD, autism, and this is an interesting observation. Almost 70% of the kids who has ADHD or autism has either heavy metal and food sensitivities, or both food sensitivities and heavy metal toxicity. And there's a special kind of testing which we need to do to see if they have that sensitivity to the food or they have the heavy metals. The blood level does not tell. I know a lot of these kids who have been seen at different facilities, they do just blood tests. Body does not want to have a heavy metal in circulation because it's toxic to you. So it stores in your bone marrow. So you have to pull it out and then see that how much exposure you have there. And recently, even in the city of Flint in Michigan, the water was toxic because of the lead contamination. And again, because of the political situations that, and to save money, they start pumping out the water from a river, and previously it was coming from a lake. And that river was polluted because of the chemical waste. And so almost every resident in the city of Flint was loaded with the lead. So, we can see that we have not, learned the lesson. And this is recent, just a couple of years ago, the Flint thing has happened. And there is tons of these kind of stories all over the world. So what these heavy metals do, that they can cause a damage to the central nervous system. So very, very important function of these heavy metals are they are damaging to your nervous system. They are also damaging to your heart, your GI system, your lungs, your kidneys, your liver, your endocrine, your bone. Almost everything they can damage in your system. And people can have a lot of different kind of symptoms with it. So basically, now if you have this exposure, and a lot of time people says, where I'm getting this exposure? Lead, in older days, the plumbing, they were using soldering, like the joints, between the joints, they were putting the lead in there. And there was also lead-based paint. And also the food which are grown in lead-rich area, they also will suck in that lead. And so people can get exposed to it. Mercury was, again, fish, especially shellfish and certain fish like tuna, shark, or swordfish, or mackerel, tilefish, bass. They all have, heavy methyl mercury on it, and they can get contaminated. And the mercury can be coming from your amalgams in the fillings in your mouth. That is, they can vaporize. So, you can see that still, even in America, we are still using that mercury filling. And I've talked to a lot of dentists who think that I'm a kind of idiot who is talking about mercury in the fillings. They said, no, there is no damage. Europe does not use mercury anymore. And even FDA has changed the statement on the mercury filling. Looks like there is another caller who is on the line. Caller, go ahead. This is Dr. Sodhi.
Hi, Dr. Sodhi. This is Richa. I have a question for you.
Sure, Richa.
So my question is, heavy metals are known to have therapeutic advantage in Ayurvedic medicine, as you know. Can you talk a little bit about the therapeutic advantages of heavy metals in Ayurveda?
Yeah, so, Richa, I'm going to talk about heavy metals in Ayurvedic medicine, and that's my next, topic. So I'm going to cover that in that one, and you will get your answer there. So, yes, okay. I will certainly cover. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, so then there's a cadmium, how the cadmium you can get exposed to? Smoking. Smoking is one of the worst source of getting the cadmium. And there is also food which is loaded with cadmium, especially the grains and legumes and leafy vegetable, fish and shellfish. So again, this is contamination. Most of them is a man-made contamination, like nickel-cadmium batteries, solar panels now, which is becoming more fashionable. So I think we can have every industrial revolution has its own set of toxicity because we are not following the simple laws of Mother Nature. So that's why I think there can be technologies developed where you can have a very less impact on the Mother Nature, and that should be the foremost I think everybody should look into it, that how we can cut down the impact on the environment. And because we are environment too, because we are part and parcel of this environment. And if we're not looking very carefully, we are going to create more problems for us. So once you get exposed to these, you can have lots of symptoms, heavy metal toxicity symptoms, like nausea, vomiting, abdominal cramps, and diarrhea, central nervous system dysfunctions, memory loss, heart problems, anemia. So this you can find out from the blood testing if you are acutely exposed to it. You can also do through the urine testing. You can also do from the hair and nail analysis. I like a post-challenging, and usually I do the hair analysis test, because that is more, or the urine test is actually, I like urine test more, because then you can check it out. And there are specialized lab who does this kind of work. Not every lab know how to do it. So there are lots of ways you can chelate it. They are called chelations therapy. This is also given by IV. And there are oral products which can be used, like DMPS and DMSA and EDTA, all those kind of stuff, which can be utilized. But what you can do to, cut down the exposure to these heavy metals, avoid or replace mercury filling, because I don't like it. There are mercury-free composite materials available. Talk to your dentist about it. So this is one easy way of doing it, and you can really help that. And you can also make sure that your food has enough trace minerals, like selenium. Selenium, heavy doses, causes a problem, but in a low doses, it chelates it. And avoid the use of mercury, high mercury fish, like all the swordfish and tuna fish. Luckily, we live in Northwest. Our fish are the one of the cleanest, especially with the salmon, trout, halibut, cod. These are called cold water fish. They are good fish, and they are, really amazingly better. And you can cut down your exposure to these heavy metals. And we'll talk about more how you can get rid of because we are so much exposed to these things. No matter how clean you're trying to eat, no matter how much clean environment you're trying to live, you are going to get exposed to it. And this is unfortunate, but that's the way we live in, the environment we live in right now. So coming back to the topic of Ayurvedic medicine and heavy metals, Richa had that question that heavy metals were used in Ayurvedic medicine as a therapeutic. Yes, they were. But the way those preparations were made previously were entirely different than what we're making it today. So the preparations which are made with heavy metals in Ayurvedic medicine are called bhasmas, bhasma mean burned, and the rasas. Rasas mean anything which has a mercury and sulfur in it. So these two preparations did have heavy metals, but these heavy metals present in these Ayurvedic products were in nanoparticles, not in the gross. So the nanoparticles of these things had entirely different effect than what we have. So Richa, this is what is going on. What we were using nanoparticles. And I think I'm very much interested in it because as you may all know that I am a naturopathic oncologist, and we see a lot of cancer patients in our clinic, and certain metals like mercury and silver has greater benefits in cancer patients because the cancer cells absorb these more, and we can attach a herbal molecule with it, and that can actually do a apoptosis or blasting of that cancer cells. And even even arsenic is still used in blood cancer. And this is a very old Ayurvedic technique, several thousand years old technique, where we're using arsenic for blood cancer. And now, actually, surprisingly, there is a company out of Seattle who has put a patent on it. And I was thinking many times that we should say, okay, you cannot have a patent because this is a known public fact, for many, many centuries. So these heavy metals, which has, can cause the disease, but they can also, if you use it in a very nano molecule form of it. And that's how the Ayurvedic products were used. But a lot of, literature which has been published on Ayurvedic products and heavy metal, almost 40 to 60% products coming from India, especially, have heavy metals in it. There is even benign products like bitter melon, Karela, even from companies like Himalayan Drug. If you go to the Canadian website of the Ayurvedic product, they have mentioned these names. Then there are other companies, like there is another product called Sudarshan Churn, and which is also had heavy metals. Shilajit, Safi, which is also very commonly used in India and Pakistan. Yograjugo has heavy metals in it. So these are the few things which has been mentioned, but I deal with every day. And actually, just want to tell you a little story about how I started Ayush Herbs. In 1988, when I graduated from Bacterial University, I thought it would be a good idea to introduce Ayurvedic medicine to the West. And I went to India and I talked to the big name companies, all those big companies. Like some of them, I just took the name of them. And they were, they didn't want to sell to me or to USA. Somehow I was able to persuade them to get those products for USA. So once we got the product, it was checked by the USA FDA, and the US FDA did the analysis on it. And it has the heaviest amount of heavy metals. It has filth, it has human excreta, mice excreta, pigeon excreta, all those kind of stuff which is considered unsafe for human use. And I was completely shocked because I come from India and I thought it was a bias, but it was not. Then when I later on did my research, I was able to find, my God, why this was there, because they were not doing a right kind of investigations into the buying those raw materials and then putting them into product. So there is if you go online and heavy metals in Ayurvedic medicine, you can see that a lot of products have heavy metals. So at that time I started and established Ayush Herbs and make sure that our products are the cleanest and does not have heavy metals. And I'm very proud to declare here that our product has been, we do triple testing on products. So like when the herbs are grown, we're doing testing. When the herbs are extracted, we're doing testing. And then the third time, we do testing in USA to make sure that it does not have heavy metals in it. So yes, there will be heavy metals, but they are so minuscule that they are not causing any problem. So we make that standard, and we have kept that standard for many years, and to a point that we have been given many awards within our community of the naturopathic medicine. We have been chosen the best of the companies by the Naturopathic Physician Association. We have been given a 5-star ranking by Emerson Ecology, which is a very big company who sells product, and they also do third-party testing. And there are only 10 or 12 companies who has a 5-star rating in that. So, when you're buying products from Ayush Herbs, make sure that these are, and feel very comforted in the feeling that these products are safe and they don't have any toxicity. So, now what you can do, because, as I said, you cannot just get rid of this stuff from your environment, because there is so much in the environment. We have been naive, or we are still naive, and we're still pumping these our fields and our chemicals into waste, and these chemicals are causing some problem. So one of the very simple things which I tell people is eat a lot of green fruits and vegetables, because these are natural source of vitamin C. Vitamin C actually flushes out the toxins and from your system, like as yellow bell peppers and red bell peppers. Yellow bell peppers have a lot of vitamin C, and it actually have shown to detoxify body from the heavy metals. Again, your vegetable like asparagus, broccoli, avocado, squash, and spinach, they all have a lot of glutathione. Glutathione is amazing for detoxification. When people are toxic, they come to our clinic. We give them IV injections of glutathione to flush their liver out. And it is non-toxic, very safe method of detoxification. And people get better. When you might have noticed when you eat asparagus, your urine has a very strong odor. Basically, what that means is you're flushing out some toxic stuff in the system. And there are herbs, especially you can take to help flush out the heavy metals from your system. Like there are liver herbs which can be utilized to detoxify, and these combinations are used in Ayurvedic medicine, like Eclipta alba, Behavioria diffusa, Triphala. These combinations has shown to detoxify. There is a tons of research available that these combination of herbs detoxify the body from the heavy metals. Selenium is another good source which you can easily take around 200 micrograms a day, and that will help you to get rid of your heavy metals. But another natural source is Brazil nuts. You can consume like 5 Brazil nuts a day, and that equivalents to around 200 micrograms of selenium per day, which is more bioavailable for you, and that will help you to detoxify your body. Our gut is a house for lots of bacteria, lots of good bacteria. We have around 100 trillion cells. I think I've said it's on there many times, and we have around 1,000 trillion bacteria in the body. So the gut bacteria can modify the response in you. So when you eat food which has a fermented food like yogurt and kefir, they are also very, very helpful getting rid of this heavy metal, and they detoxify. And eating fresh fruits and vegetables from the organic sources also bring a lot of bacteria to your gut, and that also helps. Looks like there is a caller. Caller, go ahead, and this is Dr. Sodhi. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah. Hi, this is Dr. Sodhi.
Hi, Dr. Sodhi. This is Usha. I have a question. I wanted to know, is it even the brown rice from India has more arsenic?
No, the Indian brand has a less arsenic compared to American brands, yes. So there's around 50% less. So that's a good source there, yes.
Okay.
But
and what about the boiled rice, which is available in Indian store? Is that better version of rice?
Yeah, that's called parboiled rice. Yes, they have a less arsenic as compared to the other one too. Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So, I'm going to conclude because we have a few minutes left for the show here. Food which are rich in good fat, like what is good fat? Like butter is a good fat, by the way. Butter is not a bad fat. Ghee, which is a clarified butter, is a good one. Coconut oil, olive oil, avocado oil, sesame oil, and other varieties of oil are good for us. And if you consume these around couple tablespoons of oil every day, these are the food for the good bacteria. For example, butter comes from the word butyric acid. Butyric acid is a food for the good bacteria. Coconut has caprylic acid. Olive oil has oleic acid. So all these oils has a different kind of acid, which is the food for the colonic bacteria. So, and if you look at our cell, every cell in the body has fat around it, cholesterol around it. So cholesterol is not bad for us. That's why our body makes it. We have given a bad name to cholesterol, but cholesterol is not bad. And the fat can only exchange with the fat. So if you eat good fat, you are also cutting down the load of the heavy metals, because you are going to have good bacteria growth in your body, and also the heavy metals can exchange and pull out the heavy metals from you. So eating good fat is good for you. Keep your liver healthy. Liver is our main organ which does detoxification. So if you drink alcohol, you're compensating your liver function. And especially if you take Tylenol, Ibuprofen along with it, or you're going to have a problem. You can also eat plants like garlic and onion and beetroot and artichokes. Those are very helpful. And one of the very interesting things which you can do, which in Indian kitchen we use a lot, cilantro. Cilantro is one of the best chelators there. So you can make cilantro chutneys. You can cut the cilantro, fresh cilantro, sprinkle on your food. If you take one bunch of cilantro, you're also getting around 1,300 milligrams of calcium. So you're making your body calcium rich, and then you're also leaching out the heavy metals from your body. So it looks like the program is coming to an end here pretty soon. So for the solar eclipse, don't watch sun directly. Use your sun protective. Eat lots of blueberries in the 2 days here. So if there is any photo oxidation, you can cut it off. And folks out there, have a good time. Enjoy the solar eclipse. And if you guys have any questions, you guys can call us back at 425-453-8022, our clinic number, or you can go on website www.ayurvedicscience.com. Have a wonderful day and enjoy the rest of your day and weekend, and be safe, and best of luck for you guys.